to the Jane and Brian Williams studios at Elon University and another season of Elon Phoenix Weekly. I'm Grace Stetler, joined by Jesse Gordon.
On today's episode, we preview the winter sports season, starting off with the women's basketball team. Chase Williams had a chance to sit down with Coach Charlotte Smith before the season starts.
Charlotte Smith heads into her 12th season as women's head basketball coach of the Elon Phoenix. Before the season started, she announced a pre-order for a brand new book that she is authoring.
So it's called When Athletes Pray, and it is a devotional for student athletes. And this book is my second book. My first book was When Coaches Pray, a devotional. But this one's near and dear to my heart because it is for the student athlete. And I'm excited about it because it is a lot of my experiences as an athlete, the successes, the triumphs, but also the trials and the struggles. And I think in a day and age where a lot of student athletes are struggling with so many different things that they face, and when they're lost in terms of their identity and who they are, when it's anchored to the sport, it's just a really cool way to help them stay grounded and understand what they're meant to do in sports and just give them a different outlook on what it means to be an athlete.
Coach Smith loves making an impact on young minds, whether it's her book she wrote or coaching.
Being able to shape those minds to go out and make an impact in the world. Nothing gives me greater joy than to be able to share my experiences as an athlete, share life experiences to help develop young women for a lifetime of success.
While the team is losing 3 of the top 4 and 5 of the top 7 scores, Coach Charlotte Smith is not worried about the drop-off in production.
Our 22 class is really good. It's probably one of the strongest classes that we've had since we've been here at Elon. And so I'm super excited about the productivity that we've gotten from our younger players. You know, already they've come in and been able to contribute and make an impact. And so that's how we are going to fill those voids of the productivity that we lost with the players that have graduated.
The second leading scorer is still on the team. That is Ivana McGill, who when asked about, Coach Smith lit up with excitement.
Just her consistency in her productivity. Like she shot about 55% from the field last year. And so we are always talking about getting high percentage points. You don't find too much more high percentage than 55% from the field goal. And so our point of emphasis has been getting paint points, whether that be driving and getting the ball in the paint or whether it's getting it inside to Ivana. And we have all the confidence in the world that when the ball goes inside to Ivana, that good things will happen.
Over the summer, the new team got a chance to go to Italy as part of a study abroad program. They got to play games, see sights, most importantly, bond with each other.
We have 6 freshmen incoming, or first years. We have 2 players in Doty and Diamond who did not play last year, Cameron Doty and Diamond Monroe. So basically we have 8 freshmen, and then we have Lanasia who comes in as a transfer. So 9 new faces. So what better time than to have a study abroad this summer? So it gave us a great opportunity to do some team bonding, to implement our offensive and defensive system, to teach them, you know, the Elon way in terms of Elon women's basketball. And it was just a great time to share overseas over good food, good meals, good laughter. And I think that jump-started our theme this year, which is E-Unity, is being a unified team this season. It was the final meal that we had in Italy, in Rome. And I was just sitting and watching all the tables and watching them laugh and enjoy each other's company. And people ask me, like, what's your favorite moment of the trip? And it was that night at dinner. That brought me so much joy to see them engaging with one another and actually enjoying each other's company. Because I knew with so many new faces and basically a new team, 9 out of 14 players, unity is going to be critical to our success.
Since getting back from Italy, Coach Smith believes while the team is young, they are hungry, they are ready for the challenge of this year.
The thing that I've learned is that when you are dealing with a lot of inexperience is that you're going to have to be patient. You're going to have to do a lot of teaching. And as the great John Wooden says, you have not taught until they've learned. And so for me as a leader, I'm asking a lot of questions because we can assume that we've taught and that they understand. but it's only if they can repeat it back to you. So doing a lot of teaching and then asking a lot of questions to make sure that they understand. But the one thing that I'm really excited about is that they're humble and they're hungry.
In spite of 9 newcomers, Coach Smith says there's one particular area that she's seen some early success that she hopes to translate into a season-long success.
And our defense right now is ahead of our offense, which I'm excited about because I know we can be really good offensively. But the question is are we buying into the things that we can control? That's defensive rebounding.
Coach Smith heads into her 12th season as head coach for the Phoenix. Last year, Coach Smith became the winningest coach in women's basketball history at Elon.
Jesse, talk to me a little bit about how the team finished last year, how their record was.
Yeah, Grace, this team finished 17-12 last season, which was their first winning season in over 5 years. They finished conference play 9-9, and obviously we had 8 seniors leave, but really looking forward to see how this team responds this season.
Coach Smith mentioned those players being added to the roster, and you mentioned them too. Talk to me a little bit about that roster change.
Yeah, so senior guard Bree Perpignan averaged almost 17 points a game last year, almost 4 assists. So really looking to see who can step up. A player that comes to mind is Ivana McGill. Really looking forward to see how she can step into this leadership position and just really elevate this Phoenix offense.
What are those key dates to know this year, just, coming into the play, and what should we look for?
Yeah, so the first home game of the season is November 13th against High Point, 7 p.m. in the Schar Center. This team plays Wake Forest on November 7th at 5 p.m. in Winston-Salem. And obviously, probably one of the most important games of the year, we play NC State on November 10th at 7 p.m. in Raleigh. Make sure to head out to that if you can.
That NC State game is going to be huge.
Yeah, at least it's not UConn, at least it's not Stanford, but I live in Raleigh, so I'll be able to go out and support the Pack and hopefully root for the Phoenix if they can stand a chance in the first half.
Hopefully they pull it off. Thanks so much, Jesse.
No problem.
On the other hand, the men's side of things, they announced Billy Taylor as the 19th head basketball coach in Elon Phoenix history. Chase Williams sat down with Coach Taylor to see how the transition is and what to expect this year.
On April 15th, Billy Taylor was announced as the 19th basketball coach in the history of the Elon Phoenix. The first 6 months on the job have been challenging and exciting for Taylor as he puts his staff and team together.
It's been an exciting time. These first 6 months have really flown by. It's hard to believe that it's been that long already. There's just been so much that's been going on, from the hiring of staff, re-recruiting our players that were already in the program, signing high school, signing, transfer portal, all the recruiting that goes into it, and then, the building of the program. I have an opportunity to get to work and start to train and develop our guys, instilling our culture, everything. It's really been a whirlwind. You throw all that into moving, halfway across the country, finding a home and trying to get settled with our family. It's really just gone by so fast.
Billy Taylor was a great high school basketball player, playing in the Chicago suburbs at West Aurora High School before moving on to playing college ball as well.
I had the opportunity to play for Coach Gordon Kirkman in West Aurora High School, Chicagoland area. And Coach Kirkman is a Hall of Fame coach, won a state championship, and we had a lot of success as a basketball program. So I was taught the game really well from Coach Kirkman. Previous to that, even my dad, being a former basketball player, played college ball at Northern Illinois, teaching me the game early on. So I had teachers of the game that helped bring me along as a player. Played varsity all 4 years of high school, and was graduated as the school's all-time leading scorer and rebounder, which led me to the University of Notre Dame. Played there for 4 years, and my college coach, John McLeod, spent 20 years in the NBA. So I go from a Hall of Fame coach in high school to a former NBA coach coaching at the collegiate level, and was very fortunate. I played with LaFonso Ellis, who was a number 4 pick in the NBA draft, Monty Williams for 2 years, who was the number, 19 pick in the NBA draft, and then Pat Garrity, who was the 23rd pick in the NBA draft. So as I like to say, those guys were the power forward and I was a small forward. So they shot a lot more, and my job was to defend and rebound and make sure that those guys got the ball.
But after graduating from Notre Dame, he did not start coaching. Instead, he had another path in front of him.
Again, I believe in the value of internships, something that we do here at Elon and we do extremely well. I interned before my senior year of college at Arthur Andersen, a public accounting firm. So at the time, it was the largest accounting firm in the world and one of the big six at the time. And I wanted to work as a public accountant in Arthur Andersen, or at Arthur Andersen in Chicago. So I got my CPA license and was working downtown Chicago for a few years and just really loving that experience, enjoying working with some great clients, some high-level companies, and just learning the business side of things. And had an opportunity to go back to Notre Dame as an assistant coach. And it was, again, it was kind of an exciting, almost no-brainer type of decision for me. It seemed like really a fun thing to do. And I always felt like I could go back to accounting, again, having a CPA license. I could coach. I kind of figured I'll coach for a couple years, have some fun, and then probably go back into the business world. And a couple of years has turned into a couple decades. So
Elon will be Billy Taylor's third stint in North Carolina. First, an assistant job at UNC Greensboro before years later, the head job at Belmont Abbey. But before all of that, it was a trip to play the Blue Devils that made him fall in love with the state.
We left South Bend one snowy day in like January and flew from South Bend down to North Carolina to play Duke. And coming down here, and as we're approaching the landing, and you're looking out the window, and it's green here. And it's like, wait a minute, it's all covered in snow back home in the Midwest and upper Midwest, and it's like, there's still green here. Like, I don't understand what's going on. And I think at that moment, I fell in love with North Carolina. My wife is from Johannesburg, South Africa. So we always kind of joke that in terms of coaching opportunities, we really can't get much closer to home for her.
Taylor stated the beauty of Elon was one of the first big draws to taking the job.
But it's the first thing that it kind of knocks your socks off. Like, your breath is kind of taken away. Like, wow, this campus is amazing. So when you have that kind of investment in a campus, it says a lot about the administration in terms of their care for the student athlete and the student experience. So that really meant a lot to me, just kind of seeing firsthand, like, wow, this campus is unbelievable. And then, coming and seeing the athletic facilities, seeing the Shar Center, everything that we have here, again, you're just kind of blown away with what we have. And, it's a beautiful arena, practice gym, all the facilities, the resources that we have, that we can be successful, not only in the Colonial, but we want to be successful in a regional and then on a national level. So those things, along with the high academics, kind of going back to my experience and looking at Notre Dame and kind of why Notre Dame and why Elon, the high academics.
He was very honest, though. It was not an easy decision to make.
Because of the connection that we had at the University of Iowa, our oldest two daughters are students at the University of Iowa. So we've got kids in college there. Our kids had grown up for 6 years, basically, in Iowa City, so friends and relationships for ourselves, my wife and our family. So we're very connected and very deeply entrenched in the community there. So to make that change was very difficult. And then you factor in Fran McCaffrey, the head coach at Iowa, our connection over the course of 25 years. Coach McCaffrey was an assistant at Notre Dame and recruited me to go to Notre Dame. So he was the assistant coach that I played for. We were assistants together at Notre Dame, and then he hired me at UNC Greensboro and has hired me 2 other times.
One of the first big events under Coach Taylor that the team did together, a study abroad trip to Italy.
It really was helpful for us because we have 8 weeks of practice during the summer. So typically you'll have your summer workouts, your conditioning, your weight training, and all that leads to, really kind of the end of the summer, the beginning of the preseason. Well, for us, we were able to take everything that we had talked about from the press conference, spring workouts, summer workouts, the 8 weeks of summer practices, all that, and then take it to Italy and be able to play against outside competition. So we went to Rome, we went to Florence, Venice, Milan. It was an unbelievable trip, unbelievable cultural experience. Our guys, we had a number of guys that had never been out of the country. So again, the study abroad portion, or just being able to be engaged in another culture, it was just fantastic for us.
The trip helped build what Coach Taylor expects the foundations of what fans should see night in and night out from the Phoenix this year in Schar Center.
Well, I just really continue to be impressed with our guys, with how committed they are to this process. It's not easy going through a transition. Again, as a former student athlete, I went through it. The coach that recruited me was Digger Phelps. Coach Phelps retired before I got to Notre Dame, so I played all 4 years for John McLeod. So Coach McLeod didn't recruit me, but I still stayed at Notre Dame and played for him, and then he ultimately gave me my first coaching job. So again, just that connection of that relationship, it's difficult to transition. So I've just been so impressed with how committed our guys have been to this process, and understanding that we're laying the foundation. We're talking a lot about our culture, our values, what's important to us. And as you go through that, there's a learning curve, and it's so new for a lot of our guys. So it's a new style, it's a new system, it's new offensive sets, new defensive terminology. There's so much to learn, and our guys have really been great in terms of being open to it, being willing learners, and willing to grow personally for the betterment of the team.
Billy Taylor is coming into Elon with 20 years of experience, his last stop being at the University of Iowa. Hopefully he can help this team rebuild and re-strengthen.
Now, Grace, how did they finish their season last year?
Elon had a bit of a rough season last year. Overall, they were 10-22. In conference, they were 7-11. At home, they were 7-7, so they hit that 500 mark, but they got off to a slow start, and they ended pretty slow as well. So hopefully they can get a nice pace early on and continue that throughout the season.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what head coach Billy Taylor can do with this Phoenix team. With this coaching transition, it led to key transfers leaving the program. Who are they and where are they now?
Yeah, at the end of last season, Mike Schrage, he left the team 2 days after the NCAA championship. 7 players also entered the transfer portal, so a lot going on for the Elon Phoenix. 3 main losses: Hunter McIntosh, Darius Burford, and Michael Graham. All 3 of them were top scorers for the team, so it's going to be interesting to see who can step up, especially for the team. Zach Irvin, he was a senior from Gate City, Virginia. I'm looking for him to fill those shoes. He averaged 7 points last year. He appeared in all 32 games, and he started for 14 of them. So it'll be interesting to see if he's the next top player.
Personally, Hunter McIntosh was my favorite Elon Phoenix point guard. Do not count out L.A. Pratt, though. Hopefully he can be the future of this Phoenix offense. Grace, what date should fans circle on their calendar this year?
The first in-conference play game is December 29th against Drexel. Big game, especially as Drexel finished 4th in the CAA last year.
Really excited to see what Billy Taylor brings to this Phoenix offense. We have a lot to look forward to for both teams as they hit the hardwood this fall and winter.
Thank you for joining us on Elon Phoenix Weekly. Check out our YouTube channel for archive shows and extra content on Instagram and Twitter.
And for everyone here at Elon Phoenix Weekly, thank you for watching. We will see you next time.